Well, this project focuses on the development of a prototype of a rugby club. The tasks includes creating a terminal menu for sorting, searching, adding new users, and generating random data with emphasis on input validation and search and sort algorithms. The superclasses player, coach, and teams were created, which inherit their attributes through the use of extents to the subclasses that represent trait types of each one. For the player class, I declared elite, veteran, and freshman subclasses. For coaches, I declared head coach, assistant coach, and scrum coach. And for teams, I declared offense, defense, and special teams. I also create enums called menu options to define the main menu options, which include display all the players in alphabetical order, searching for players by name, adding new players to the player list, and randomly generating players. Well, in this case, the list of players was provided in a file, so it was necessary to create a method that will allow me to read this file and extracting the player's information. The nature of this file contained information about the players, such as ID, first name, last name, email, and gender. The first problem that I faced was that because the types of players I declared, they needed an attribute that could differentiate them from each other. For this reason, I had to create a new attribute for all the players here that describes the experience level of each one in years. For this, I used the random object and assigned the player experience between 1 and 5 years, and I did this randomly. In this way, players with 0 to 1 year of experience will be assigned to the freshman class, while players with 2 years of experience will be assigned to the veteran class, and finally, players with 3 or more years of experience, in this case 4 or 5, will be assigned to the elite class. I also assigned a type of coach and team in each player done randomly. So in this way, all the data will show coach and team types. The next step I developed was the storage of all the players in array list to be able to manipulate them later. I read this and storage them by separating each of the attributes of the provided file by commas, starting at index 1, ignoring the ID attribute, since for me it was not relevant. Okay, I also use merge sort to sort the list of players in alphabetical order according to the name and create a method to show the players already sorted. I use getter and setter declared in the classes to obtain the attributes of the players. And here I declare two very important getters in the player class, the get coach and the get team, in order to obtain the types of coach and team directly from the coach and team classes. And with this, I declared the variables time containing the types of each one. In this way, when calling the player information, the type of coach and team assigned will be also printed. And then I create a method using binary search to search for players by name in the previous sorted list, in such ways that if the player is found, the name of the found player is this player and his details. And well, if the player is not found, it will be show an error message. And where here I have problems with the validation of the user input, because if the name didn't match exactly as it was written in the file, the program wouldn't find the player. So I have to use the compare to ignore case. So then I will be able to ignore case differences. In the case of adding a new player, the program first asks the user to select a type of coach and type of team to which the user wanted to belong, and then ask them to select the type of player. To solve this, I use switch case to execute a different line of code depending on the user selection, and I store their choices. Afterwards, the program asks to enter information of the new player separated by commas, and here I had another problem since I had to verify and validate that the user entered information that correspond to the type of data required. For example, a string type data validation with name, last name, and gender were required. In for years of experience, and I researched for a regex to validate the email. I stored all the information and add them to the same list of players to allow the user to access it later. And then here finally I create a method to generate random players using the random object and randomly extracting players names and storing them in the same list of players. Here I had another problem because I didn't know if the generated players were being stored in the player list correctly. So I had to perform tests by generating players several times and then searching for them to check that my method was working correctly. And that's everything. Thank you.